All right, so
Since
audio's
we're
enabled.
both on it because we weren't both on it a second ago.
Are you sure? All right, well, now we're both on it. No, so lean over. Come over more. Come over more. Come over. Hey, everyone. Welcome to day 10 of 28 days in February. This is the Video Store Cowboy channel. We are streaming from a super secret location where we are able to get actual bandwidth. And with me today is DrRubyX. Hi, DrRubyX.
Hi, Video Store Cowboy.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What are we doing today, DrRubyX?
We're playing Quill.
What's Quill?
Quill is a letter writing game.
A letter writing game?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds interesting.
It's a single player letter writing game.
Is it?
We are acting as one.
Oh my. Okay, guys. So we've got the rules summary right here. We're gonna explain it as we go along. We're also going to occasionally kind of remove the rules so that chat can be seen. And we've chosen a couple of different things. So let's start with the information around selecting character, skill, and scenario. And DrRubyX, that has been all of you. You want to tell us about what character?
Me? Okay. Well,
what character have you chosen?
I did select the character of the knight.
Okay.
And it had to do with the different attributes, actually. The knight being strong in heart, and penmanship being the knight's poorest attribute. I really could identify with that because I got like an F in handwriting when I was in 5th grade and had to prove myself, and then got an A. So.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I was always terrible with penmanship. I'm impressed with your dedication.
I'm still terrible with penmanship, but I choose to be. So.
All right, right on.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are a knight, and if we read the knight, it says the following, and we've got it printed out since we don't have it on screen. So, the knight is the bastion of chivalry and romance. Tales are told of great knights and their bravery in the battlefield. Knights embark upon grand quests, often given by the king or queen, whether it is to save the village from marauders or rid a forest of bogarts. What's a bogart?
Bogart? But it's like with 2 G's, so is it Bogart?
I don't know.
I don't actually know that word.
I don't know that word either. The only place that I know that word is actually from Harry Potter. So
I think I don't know the word because our language as a knight, our attribute of language is poor.
Yeah, I think we've chosen wisely there.
We just don't know the word.
Totally.
Okay.
It is worth noting that knights can be either men or women. That's great. So are we a man or a woman?
We are a knight.
Are we a man? Okay. All right. Sorry. Let's take this back. What is our gender as a knight?
I'm not sure it's going to come up.
Really?
I'm not sure it's going to be relevant.
If it comes up, I'm going to revisit this question with you.
Okay.
All right. Right on. While knights write with all their heart, they do not have the best grasp of language. And as DrRubyX pointed out, and I'll show you guys on screen right there. Right there. So penmanship is average, language is poor, and heart is good. Now the way this works out is, depending upon the rating for each of these attributes, determines your dice pool. So poor gets 1 d6, average gets 2 d6, and good gets 3 d6. And so this will come up in the scenario when we actually start dealing with, actually rolling the dice itself. And we actually, because of this whole like janky sort of last minute setup, I forgot to bring some 6-sided dice. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll using the Fantasy Flight Games Star Wars dice rolling app that actually has D6 dice in it as well. So we'll be doing that as we need to go. All right. So step 1 has been to choose a character. Step 2 is to choose a skill. DrRubyX, what did you choose for our skill?
So there's 3 different skills to choose from, and I chose inspiration.
And what does inspiration say?
With inspiration, you are a born leader with the ability to use powerful language to inspire others in your letters. You gain +1 dice to a language test.
Okay.
So it will help us because our language was our poor attribute.
Right. And so a language test, we'll talk about that as we go along, but a language test will come up as a part of the gameplay and it'll be incredibly important. Now, the interesting thing about the skill, as we were talking about and strategizing about this before we got started, is you can only do at a skill, one of your skills, or your skill, to 1 dice roll in the entire game or the entire scenario.
That's right.
And so we'll be sitting down and writing this letter And that's the whole point of the game is we're going to be writing a letter, but we only get to add that dice at one point during the entire scenario.
That's
So,
right.
okay, so we've talked about selecting a character and a skill. Now, tell us about the scenario you've chosen.
Oh, this scenario. It has to do with who you're writing a letter to and what it's about, basically. So the scenario that I chose is the art dealer.
Uh-oh. So tell us a little bit about the art dealer.
Okay, so you're corresponding with Christina Bowbridge, a renowned art dealer who is known for her enthusiastic personality and adoration of the monarchy. And you're writing to inquire about buying a portrait of Prince Edward IV. However, you've heard rumors that this painting could be a fake, and but you must find this information from Christina without offending her.
Interesting. So there's a bit of subterfuge that has to go into this.
There's a further complication too.
Oh, yeah.
That's there's some of these rules of correspondence that are particular to the scenario that you choose. Ours is that Ms. Bowbridge, the art dealer, likes to be impressed with beautiful calligraphy, and just looking at the penmanship, we were average, so I thought we might do pretty well. But you must take care when writing to her, and so when making a penmanship test, you'll roll, and you'll have to re-roll your highest die and accept the final roll. So we have a harder chance there.
On penmanship tests.
Yeah.
And so the way that any of the tests work, there are 3 different types of tests, and we'll talk about that as we go along. But the way that any of these tests work is we roll the 6-sided dice, and we roll the dice pool, and a success is determined by a 5 or a 6. So if we get a 5 or a 6, and we have to re-roll that, there's a big likelihood that we'll actually lose it. However, if we get a 4 and below, and it's still our highest die, that does make a difference. It could get us up top. So that would be really cool. I'm very curious to see how this is going to work out, Miss. I've decided I wanted to write the art dealer.
I'm going to write the art dealer. It sounds like an exciting scenario.
Okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the rules around this game and the way the game flow actually works real quick. So the flow play is very simple. In Quill, you must write 5 paragraphs, each containing only 1 word from the ink pot. When you want to add a word, you must roll a language test, roll language dice, which is also called a language test. And as previously stated, any 5 or 6 is a success. With this, you get to add a superior word to your paragraph and gain 1 point. Anything lower, and you must add an inferior word, and you get a score of no points. Now, with each scenario, and I really should have this better prepared on screen, but in each scenario, you see the ink pot right there, and you get superior words and inferior words or phrases. And you have to use the entire superior word or phrase, or superior or inferior word or phrase to what you're actually writing here. And then, so once we get through the 5 paragraphs, we then score ourselves based on how the flow of the paragraphs have gone, and our skill results, and that way we determine the consequence of what actually happens at the end of the day. So, along with doing the language tests, when we decide to do that, we can do something optional called a flourish. Now, a flourish allows you to add an adverb or an adjective to enhance the word that you choose. For example, stallion could be augmented with white stallion. However, in order to do this, you actually roll your heart, which DrRubyX appropriately chose the knight who has a big heart. So a dice pool of 3. So we're going to use this at our advantage at every turn. If we succeed, we gain a point, or we gain 2 points actually, I think it is, right?
I think so. If you succeed, you get to add something. Yes, 2 points for succeeding at a flourish.
So we get 2 points, but if we fail though, what happens?
Well, actually, I'm sorry. If you flourish a superior word, you get 2 points.
Okay.
An inferior word, you actually lose a point.
Okay.
So, and the trick is that you have to decide if you're going for that flourish before you find out
before you do the language test.
Before you do your language test and find out whether you're having a superior word.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So this gets incredibly challenging. So we can make a choice to make that language test or not for each paragraph, and we're writing 5 paragraphs. At the end of each paragraph, we then do something called a penmanship test. And a penmanship test reads as following. Every time you finish a paragraph, you must make a penmanship test. To do so, roll your penmanship dice, and any 5 or 6 is a success and you gain 1 point. Note that you can only score a single point per test, no matter how many 5s and 6s you get. So, those are the basic rules. There are 3 types of tests. There is the language test, which is a required for every word that we, every sort of, inkpot word we want to add. There is the flourish, which is an optional test to kind of add an additional sort of, flourish or, nicety to that word. And then there is, of course, the penmanship test, which is required at every turn or at every end of paragraph. So, with that, I think it's time for us to start.
And we can use that skill once per game too.
We can use that skill once per game.
Inspiration that we have on one of those 5 paragraphs.
You are absolutely
I'm
right.
excited about that part.
I can't wait to see how we actually use this. All right, so let's start with the art dealer and her. How do we want to start this? Do we want to butter her up, or do we want to jump right into the conversation and say, "Hey, what's going on with this particular item?"
Can we get it, and is it good?
Right, exactly. So,
well, we might want to butter her up a little bit more than that, because our goal is not to offend her with a question. We may want to get on her good side first.
Okay. So how do we want to start that? Do you have any ideas?
Something complimenting her in some way, and maybe should we call her Christina or Ms. Bowbridge?
We're a knight. I think we would be proper.
I think proper knights refer to people with proper titles. Right?
Dear Ms. Is it Ms? It's Ms. Bowbridge. Let's start with the last time that we actually ran into Miss Bowbridge. Where did we run into Miss Bowbridge the last time?
Oh, was it when we were doing something that's on the list here, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about the ink pot?
Yeah, the ink pot. We have the ink pot, and we could start off referring to something right away, or it could be when we were in there selecting art for the royal court.
Okay, so we were working as a part of the court to select something, and based on what you just said, it's in the ink pot. There is the inferior, the prince, or the superior, His Royal Highness Prince Edward the Fourth. Mm-hmm. You think we should go for that as our first language roll?
Could be, yes.
Shall we?
I think we shall.
Shall we flourish it?
We shall flourish. Well, I don't know if we should flourish that. Should we?
Well,
because if we get superior, His Royal Highness Prince Edward the Fifth, and we flourish it, that's a mouthful already. But she is the one to be impressed.
His handsome royal prince, his handsome Royal Highness Prince. I mean, this is a painting about him, though. So if we don't flourish it, I don't know. I don't know what the right choice is there.
Oh, wait, it's a painting of him that we're.
Right.
A portrait of him. We need to refer to the portrait. So if we're going to refer to last time we saw her, maybe we shouldn't mention him just yet.
Okay.
We could maybe...
What about talking about the fountain or the great fountain of Ali?
Oh, maybe that's where we saw her.
Okay. Well, I wonder what the great fountain of Ali actually is. This will be really kind of interesting.
I'm unaware of the great fountain of Ali.
Well, that's where we get to create. This is all about creating.
We ran into her. Did we do something nightly there? Like pick up a sash that she dropped or something exciting like that?
Is there romantic interest here? Maybe.
No. We're just being helpful.
Oh, so we're just being very knightly.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, do we want to roll for that flourish? I'm sorry,
using from the ink pot, whether we'll get the superior wording of the great fountain of Ali
or
Aliyah, as opposed to fountain.
Okay, so this is our language test.
It is.
Do we want to try? I mean, the likelihood is that we're going to roll 1d6 here. Do we want to try to flourish this or not?
I think we should keep trying to flourish things because it's fun.
All right, so I've added 1 die to it, right? And so let's do the roll.
Oh, we got a 6.
Wow. Okay, so wait a minute. That was our That was our language roll. I just screwed up the mechanics.
Oh, we have more dice.
So we did succeed, and I'm gonna do
No, we don't. We have one. Our language is poor. We have one die. For
right, but
language.
we were flourishing.
We were flourishing.
So let's go
right.
ahead and add that
Well, how many dice do we roll for a flourish?
for 3.
We do. Oh.
So let's, and so we got a 5 as well. So if you see that,
Okay.
so we did flourish it, and we got the superior word.
Okay.
Okay, so that means our current score is, I believe, 3 points. So I'll score it at the top. So that's let's see, superior word plus a flourish. Okay, so dear Ms. Bowbridge, it was my pleasure to see you at the, what are we going to call the Great Fountain of?
At the spectacular.
The spectacular.
Nice one. Great Fountain of Alea. Alea? I don't know how to say that word.
So let's go ahead and bold. Actually, we'll italicize flourishes, and then we'll bold superior words. At the spectacular Great
Fountain of Alea.
Great Fountain of Alea. It was my pleasure to see you at the spectacular Great Fountain of Alea last evening.
Last evening. That was right away. I was thinking, sure, last evening.
Okay.
It's a great time to follow up the next day on an art piece. Yeah.
Your the royal, let's go, the royal celebration for the king's birthday was, hey, go away. A exciting party gathering.
Exciting festival.
Festival, I like it. It was my pleasure to see you at the spectacular Great Fountain of Alea last evening. The royal celebration for the king's birthday was an exciting festival. Exciting. What else would we like to do to butter her up?
We have 5 paragraphs. We want to keep buttering her here.
I think we want to start off strong and then kind of dig into.
Oh, it's all right. It was my pleasure to see you. The celebration was exciting. And maybe again something about her.
Your gown was finely made. And was the talk of the season.
Oh. I think that's good buttering.
All right. So do we feel that that's a good first paragraph?
I think that's a great first paragraph.
Awesome. Now, let's do this. Actually, I'm going to do, so since we're adding it there, so we've got our inferior, or we've got our spectacular, which is our flourish. Actually, I'm going to bold them if they encourage points or they gain points. So that's 2 points plus another point for the superior word. Now we do a penmanship test. And what is our penmanship?
The penmanship we have is average, so we get to roll 2 dice.
Okay.
However, remember, in this scenario that we're playing, she really likes good calligraphy. So we're going to have to re-roll our highest of the 2, or higher of the 2.
Okay. So let's go ahead and start with that. So let's go ahead and roll our first dice. So we only got a 2 as our highest. So all right. So because of that, we get to re-roll with 1 more. And let's roll that. With a 3.
Oh, okay.
So we did not succeed. Right? And so as the rules go, penmanships, you get a point if you get a 5 or 6 when you do your penmanship test. So clearly we're really nervous about what's going on here and what our attempt to butter her up, even though we did a phenomenal job in using the correct language and flourish along with it. So our heart was in the right place. Our skill was just not really working. It didn't work.
That's right.
So what do we want to say in the second paragraph?
Well, talking about we need to inquire about buying it, this portrait.
Okay.
So maybe we should just start talking about the portrait before we talk about too much about buying it.
Okay.
So it says it's a portrait of Prince Edward IV. That may be a fake, but we have to be careful how we bring that up. So we start off talking about the prince himself, who's in the portrait.
Okay. Is this time to use another role for the inkpot of the prince or His Royal Highness Prince Edward IV?
I think that's the time. Yes.
Okay. And do we want to flourish it?
I think it couldn't hurt.
All right.
Even if we get that big long mouthful of a superior reference to him.
All right, guys. So that means this is the next roll that we're going to be doing. So our dice pool is 3. And sadly, we got a 4 as our highest dice roll. So we failed our flourish. So if we get we don't actually get anything at all at this particular point, right? So we're not worried about losing 2 point or losing a point if we get the inferior word on the language test.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So and our language is poor. So we're going to roll 1 die. We also get the inferior word. So we get no point here when we actually use the prince. That's too bad.
Well, we have at 1 point in one of the 5 paragraphs, we can do a +1, but we would have had to decide that before we rolled.
That's correct.
So we'll have to remember that in the next 3 paragraphs, which is the critical time to try for that inspiration.
Absolutely. It is, let's see, it is my understanding. No, that's probably not the way to do that.
I wonder if the prince was at the king's celebration. And
it was my pleasure to speak to the prince at the festival last night.
I think maybe it was I had the honor of speaking to the prince.
Had the honor?
It was my pleasure to Artie to be speaking to Miss Bowbridge.
It was my honor to speak to the prince last night at the festival. He had wonderful things to say about the recent painting. So
portrait, yeah,
the recent that was commissioned of him. It is my understanding I could type. I really can type. I can tell you guys. I can totally type.
It's better than me.
It is
better than I.
Better than I. Oh my.
Speaking and typing.
It is my understanding that you were responsible for the work that went into we said commissioning, so what else? How would we describe the effort?
Endeavor?
We're into the endeavor. Okay. Let's go ahead and make sure that we get that correct. It is my understanding that you were responsible for the work that went into this marvelous
Oh.
endeavor.
So we can flourish all we want to when it's not an ink pot word.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. But
Sadly, no points for that.
I know we need an optional set of rules here where we can just, for everything that we do, every flourish that we personally do, maybe it's half a point.
I think we need a real art dealer to come and read this letter in the end.
Seriously.
Something like that.
It is my understanding that you were responsible for the work that went into this marvelous endeavor. Is that a good second paragraph?
I think that's great. Yeah.
Okay.
We're referencing seeing the prince in person too, so I think that's getting us on the side of asking a delicate question about the legitimacy of this portrait. We actually, we care about this person, so we're not just in it for the money.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is the second paragraph. Now let's go ahead and figure out if our penmanship is up to stuff.
Right.
So our penmanship is an average, so we're going to be 2 dice.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and do that roll. Hey, we actually succeeded our penmanship test.
However, remember, she cares for calligraphy, and we must re-roll the highest die and accept the final.
Why do I keep you around?
Every time.
You're such a stickler for rules.
You keep me around because I read the rules.
And with that, we actually got a 3, guys.
This art dealer is tough cookie.
Seriously. Man, I don't know about this. I don't know if we're going to succeed here. We've only scored 3 points so far. This isn't looking good, guys.
It's true. We got no points for that paragraph. Is that right? Because
not at all.
Unflourished, inferior word with poor penmanship.
Yep, totally. This is nuts. All right. So in our second paragraph, we dropped the information that we were aware of the portrait. I think it's time now to actually engage and have the delicate conversation. Now, how do we set this up? Should we highlight that we don't want to offend her, that maybe we have a delicate question that's involved in this before we actually ask our question?
That's not a bad idea.
Okay.
Kind of prep her for it. I was thinking about getting a chance to see it and making sure that we're seeing how everything turned out. I don't know, something like that, because of her the marvelous endeavor, and I would love to see the fruit of all of that.
Okay. So how do we start that out?
Something about finding a time to visit her for that.
I would love to find a moment to come and visit your studio and see this. Is there something that we could add here in the ink pot that makes sense?
We have one of our choices is to try to go for the word inspect. But I don't know that we should be talking about coming to inspect it, at least right off.
Okay, so might want to save that for the fourth paragraph.
Right.
So maybe we want to talk about skill or esteemed expertise.
Esteemed expertise. Yeah.
Okay. So that appears to be a language roll. Is that correct?
That is a language roll. Are we going to flourish it? Is the question first. Trying to go for a flourish.
I think a flourish is a good idea.
I do too.
Well, you seem to be doing really well for the most part. So we did get a 5.
Okay.
So we got a 5.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and then we're going to choose.
We're going to flourish, and we're going to go for the ink pot. Our language dice.
Okay.
Which is one die, and try to go for getting esteemed expertise into this paragraph.
Is it time to use our skill?
I don't know.
I'm feeling like we're going to be talking about whether it's a fake moving forward. So there's another option of fake or reproduction. And then there's another one mentioned there that it seems like the kind of thing that, so fake or reproduction seems like a fourth paragraph kind of a thing, and I'm looking at it and going, ticked off or offend you, or even, you know, there's a I'm sorry or I apologize profusely kind of a thing that we might want to use in the 5th paragraph. So I'm thinking that you're right, that maybe we may not want to use our skill just yet.
Right. I think maybe next paragraph.
Okay. So let's go ahead and roll that. And wow, we got a 5, guys.
5 without
So
any hope.
So with a 5, we are going to take skilled expertise or esteemed expertise. So I would love to so as the paragraph reads so far, I would love to find a moment to come and visit your studio and see this this lovely portrait. It is my understanding that the artist stands. Now we also flourish this, right? So we get we also get the point for the esteemed expertise. We also get to add something to flourish it.
Mm-hmm.
How do we want to do that? So esteemed expertise. I'm going to write it down here. What is it? Esteemed. Expertise. I can really spell esteemed expertise. Right, and so we're gonna bold that because that's our superior word, which gets us a point.
That's right.
It is my understanding that the artist stands
renowned, maybe renowned.
Stands with renowned, so an esteemed.
Oh, I was thinking that they were renowned for their esteemed expertise. That wasn't the flourish I was suggesting.
So okay. So what is the flourish that you're suggesting then?
So flourish is an adverb or adjective. So something that improves upon that esteemed expertise. So they're well established, esteemed expertise.
Well established. And so we're gonna bold that and italicize it. And that indicates that our 2 points there. So it is my understanding that the artist stands in renowned for their esteemed expertise in, okay, let me unbold that real quick. In
portraiture. Is that a word? Portraiture. In
portraiture.
It sure is a word. Okay.
I would love to find a moment to come and visit your studio and see this lovely portrait. It is my understanding that the artist stands in renown for their well-established, esteemed expertise in portraiture. Huh. So that's a pretty bold set of statements right there. That is really just sort of inflating her ego in respect to finding it. So that seems to me like what the third sentence should be here. It should be something, again, just talking about her sort of skill and her choice of the artist itself in bringing the artist together to make this portrait of Prince Edward the Fourth.
Right. I'm wondering if one way to worm our way into getting this information from her without really directly saying that we have any reason to think it would be a fake is to say that we know somebody who's a cousin of the artist who would possibly be with us when we come to look at it.
Okay, that's an interesting perspective. Do we want to add that here, or do we want to add that in the 4th paragraph when we start talking about whether it's a fake or not?
I'm not sure.
All right, so let's do this. Because our penmanship matters and we can only probably drop it once, let's save that idea for the 4th paragraph. And let's say, how about this? It is well known that you are a fantastic judge of skill in matching subject matter or subjects to artistic styles. Buttering her up again. And then we're definitely dropping that cousin reference. I like that a lot.
Definitely,
I think that
yeah.
totally works. Okay, is that a good third paragraph?
I think that's great third paragraph.
All right, right on. So let's do our dice roll, guys. And so this is a penmanship test. So we're going to do 2. And we're going to roll. And we got a 5.
We got a 5.
Wow.
Right.
So for the first time, guys, we have actually succeeded our penmanship test. Now, how do we want to indicate that? Let's underline it.
Yeah. The first time. Whole paragraph gets underlined.
Did that? No, nope, didn't do that. Okay, there we go. So we're going to underline it, and that is our...
We will gain a point for...
We will get a point for that.
The paragraph with the good penmanship.
That is correct.
Oh, wait. We forgot.
What's up?
In this scenario, because she is so picky, we have to re-roll.
Man.
We have to re-roll that 5.
Why do I just don't understand your stickler for rules, lady.
Next time you can pick a different scenario and you won't have a picky art dealer.
And guys, we now have to remove the underlining because guess what? We rolled incorrectly, or we rolled badly. Damn it.
Yeah.
You're lucky
We wouldn't feel good about our points in the end if we did it incorrectly.
You're lucky I love you.
Yeah, you're lucky I love you.
All right, so guys, that's our third paragraph. All right. So now we're going to highlight the fact that we are concerned about it being a fake. And we're going to be bringing in the cousin of the artist.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to sell that point pretty smoothly. So let's see. Let's start with, it will be my pleasure to invite the skilled artist, the skilled artist's second cousin.
Second cousin, twice removed on his mother's side.
Twice removed on his...
Yes, indeed. See, these things matter in worlds like this.
It would matter. It would definitely matter because that type of heritage and lineage would be very important to anyone who was trying to be a courtier or anybody attending court. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
So it would be my pleasure to invite the skilled artist's second cousin, twice removed on his mother's side, to visit, to accompany me to your studio, and I come to view this wonderful portrait. Okay, so that is the portrait. It will be my pleasure to invite the skilled artist's second cousin, twice removed on his mother's side, to accompany me to your studio when I view this wonderful portrait. Yes. So now I think it's time for our fourth ink pot choice. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I'm wondering about referencing the inscription.
The inscription or signature, right?
Cousin may recognize their cousin's writing.
Okay.
In one way.
So that's actually much better than what I was thinking, which was the fake reproduction. I like the idea. It's more subtle. Yeah. So let's go ahead and do that roll, and that's a language roll.
In fact, maybe the cousins were in grade school together and had to take penmanship class at the same time.
That is fantastic.
Penmanship, which is something that is near and dear to the heart of our art dealer.
Because she loves the skill of it. She loves the flourish and the beauty of it.
She does.
This art dealer, this Miss Bowbridge. She's really, she's getting on my nerves at how much she really likes this penmanship. So,
She does.
is this time for the skill check?
I think it is.
All right.
Yeah.
So, guys, we have been rolling our penmanship, which has been, or sorry, our language, which has been poor. And we've been very lucky so far in our rolls. This time around, we are actually going to add our skill check in the hopes that we actually get a much better roll. So instead of 1 die, we're going to roll 2. But before that, there's the conversation about whether we should roll a flourish.
Oh, that's right.
What would you like to do? Would you like to roll a flourish this time around?
We should. We have even a better chance of having a superior inkpot word.
All right. And guess what, guys? We actually did. We got a 6. So we get our flourish. Now, regardless of what happens, we actually get to add something to it. Now, hopefully, we make our skill check. Or sorry, our language check.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now we're doing 2, and we're using, so our pool is poor, so we get 1 die, plus a second die because we're using our skill check, which happens once per scenario, and that is inspiration. It's a gain plus 1 die to a language test. So now we've got 2.
Yep.
Survey says,
We
wow.
got a 6.
And we got a 6, guys. So we chose wisely. Good job, DrRubyX. I'm very impressed. You are very good at this.
And hopefully it makes a great difference to her that we refer to this as an inscription rather than a signature, which sounds kind of like a legal, like we're checking the signature to see if it's fake.
You are correct. So, let's see. So it's inscription, and then we get a flourish with it as well. So, okay. It is my understanding. Right, I've used that actually phrase before. Yes, it was my understanding. I use it in the second sentence. So let's stay away from that.
I wonder about maybe the cousin having the interest in this inscription. In fact, it's their familiar inscription.
The familial?
Familiar, like because both they're a relative and that they might be familiar with it.
Okay.
From penmanship class.
Okay. Cousin was saying just the other day that he has a keen interest in the... How should we flourish the inscription?
That's what I was saying would be familiar to him.
So the familiar inscription?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the actual flourish. I didn't actually realize...
I was thinking familiar. In the case of a cousin, it says a lot.
Okay. The familiar... Cousin was just saying the other day that he has a keen interest in the familiar inscription to be found on the portrait.
A keen interest in viewing the familiar inscription. I think.
In viewing.
Yes. So how can she be offended if this cousin is so excited to see the artist's inscription that they worked on so hard in grade school?
I have. Hey Ish, how you doing tonight? We're doing day 10 of the stream here, and we're playing a game called Quill. I think you'd actually like it. Basically, the short premise is that it's a letter writing single player tabletop games, but DrRubyX and I are doing it together. So we will review the rules and everything at the end when we do the scoring, and we're right in the middle of doing this this interesting 4th paragraph where we talk about the possibility of it being a fake. Now, so it's interesting because I thought, based on that second sentence, the cousin was saying just the other day that he has a keen interest in viewing the familiar inscription to be found on the portrait. Maybe we can reference here something to say he has noted previously in something about fakes and how what's the word for somebody who actually does
Like a forgery?
yes, like the forgers have been incapable of getting the inscription correctly.
That's right. Maybe because I don't know, was there a penmanship contest or something like that? I'm very on this penmanship because she's
You're very
very concerned about penmanship.
She is very focused on the penmanship, and that would be actually interesting too, because maybe that's some way we actually highlight in when we apologize in the 5th paragraph. We talk about her fascination with penmanship and how she might. We totally, we think that there's just no way that she would ever accept or be capable of participating in something that was inferior in any way, shape, or form.
That's right. That's right.
So.
Could do that.
Oh my gosh, it's Gillis. I see Gillis. I see you there, Gillis, in chat. How you doing, Gillis?
Hi, Gillis.
All right, so the cousin was saying just the other day that he has a keen interest in viewing the familiar inscription to be found on the portrait. All right. Much love, Gillis. All right, so guys, we're actually, because of the bandwidth problems we were having at our place, we were having to do this at a super secret location, and our setup is really interesting. We're using a laptop and a tablet, and we're looking at chat on a tablet. So we're going to read this real quick. You're not staying, okay? Just to tease you. Yeah. All right. No worries, Ish. You have a great night, man. Don't worry at all. We're just trying to get through this little scenario here. This has been pretty fun so far. Oh wow, Gillis and Salem in the same chat. This is pretty ridiculous, guys. So we're trying to get through this third paragraph, or this third sentence here in this paragraph, this 4th paragraph on this game. Okay, so the cousin has noted in previous circumstances that forgers have incorrectly copied the artist's
penmanship.
The artist's penmanship when duplicating the inscription.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So catching up on chat real quick, guys.
Just chat amongst themselves.
Yeah, you actually got this right, Gillis. This is definitely a world building game, and it's a single player world building game. It's called Quill. It's absolutely fantastic, and I'll link it at the end of the stream. Gillis, I have suggested that in the past. I've also suggested that we can play online. So I will hit you up privately afterwards. But I believe I've already got Salem and DrRubyX committed for a game on Saturday, if you're interested in joining us. All right, guys. So we've just finished paragraph 4 in this particular game, or in this particular scenario. We now have to roll a penmanship test.
We actually should. We need to do the bolding and italicizing of our flourish and the superior word that we got to add from the ink pot.
Right. So the flourish is going to be a bold and italicized, and then the superior word is inscription, and that's actually in bold as well. Yeah. All right, Gillis, I will definitely hit you up right after the stream. I'll hit you up on Facebook, and we'll make that happen. Okay, so guys, paragraph 4 is done. We now have to roll a penmanship test. Now our penmanship dice pool is, I believe it's 1d6.
It's 2. We get 2 because
we're
average.
Right, sorry. I was thinking it was the language, right? This is a 2d6 roll, but as DrRubyX likes to point out.
As DrRubyX likes to point out, Ms. Bowbridge, the art dealer to whom we are writing, likes to be impressed with beautiful calligraphy, so you must take care. And we have to re-roll the highest die and accept the final roll.
You were absolutely correct. Okay, so we're going to roll 2d6. And we got a 1 and a 2, guys. Because I forgot to bring my dice, I'm using a dice app. We're running a 1 and a 2, but because of this, we get to re-roll the highest roll, the 2, and roll it again. And this time, guys, holy crap, we rolled a 5.
In this case, her scrutiny paid off, and we took care in rewriting this part of the letter, and we will get +1 point.
Right, and so the way that we're going to indicate that is we're going to underline the paragraph indicating that we actually scored the extra point here. All right, catching up on chat real quick. Yes, so we'll each paragraph there's a set of mechanics, Gillis, that we actually do in order to accomplish what it is that we're writing. So for each paragraph we get one what's called inkpot word, and it's either a superior or an inferior word, depending upon how we roll. And so for the 5th paragraph, we'll do that again, and then we get something as an addition that's called a flourish. And each of these require a different dice pool that are based on attributes for the actual language itself, or for the actual skill set that we're actually working with. And yes, you got to love the natural ones, Salem. I completely agree.
I think it's not a bad point to reread our letter before doing the 5th. I mean, just to kind of see how it's flowing. And,
okay.
I mean, so the purpose of this is we are a knight, and we are looking to find out if a portrait that's been done of the prince might be a fake, but we don't want to offend this art dealer. So we really need to think about what we've said already to her, and how we're going to approach this, and what we want to make our final statement at the end. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's go ahead and reread the first 4 paragraphs with that in mind. Dear Ms. Bowbridge, or Miss Bowbridge, it was my pleasure to see you at the spectacular Great Fountain of Alea last evening. The royal celebration for the King's birthday was an exciting festival. Your gown was finally made and was the talk of the season. It was my honor to speak to the prince at the festival last night. He had wonderful things to say about the recent portrait that was commissioned of him. It is my understanding that you are responsible for the work that went into this marvelous endeavor. I would love to find a moment to come and visit your studio and see this lovely portrait. It is my understanding that the artist stands in renown for their well-established esteemed expertise in portraiture. It is well known that you are a fantastic judge of skill in matching subjects to artist styles. It will be my pleasure to invite the skilled artist's second cousin, twice removed on his mother's side, to accompany me to your studio when I view this wonderful portrait. The cousin was saying just the other day that he had a keen interest in viewing the familiar inscription to be found on the portrait. The cousin had noted in previous circumstances that forgers have incorrectly copied the artist's penmanship when duplicating the inscription.
I think that's really subtle. I don't think that she thinks we're looking to see if it's a fake. The cousin is.
Absolutely. Yeah, Gillis, this is a lot of fun. Like I said, I'll link it at the end of the game, or at the end of the session, and you'll have to try it out. It's fantastic, and the game only costs $1 on DriveThruRPG. So yeah, it's a fantastic little thing. Okay, so given that we seem to be doing really well in establishing sort of a non-confrontational narrative and implying that we are questioning the validity, the actual sort of authenticity of this. Do we really need to apologize at this point?
I'm not sure we should. I think maybe the apology should be for poor penmanship in the first part of the letter.
Wow. Okay, that's.
We could choose not to apologize and go a different route.
No, I actually like that. I like the idea of that, because it in the first 3 paragraphs, as we're kind of looking at it here, because they're not underlined, that indicates that we failed our penmanship test. Mm-hmm. And even if we fail our penmanship test in the final paragraph, we're still taking a moment to actually acknowledge that we're nervous.
That's right, and that we know how important that is to her. That we respected it enough to be thinking about it.
Right, totally, absolutely. All right, so does that mean that we are going to roll a language test right now?
To see what we pick from the inkpot, as far as.
I think we were talking about the "I'm sorry" or the "I apologize profusely."
Right. We're gonna see if we're. I think we should try to flourish it again.
I completely agree with you.
So we get to roll 3 dice for a flourish.
All right. You want to hit the dice
So far,
at
every
the top?
time we have succeeded the flourish roll, haven't we? And we did that time too. We got a 5.
All right, guys. So we succeeded our flourish roll, which means so the flourish roll allows us to add an adverb or an adjective to our inkpot word. Now this does have an impact, and my suspicion is we've been really successful in our language rolls for the most part. If we fail this one, we'll get to finally understand what that actually means to flourish something, but to flourish an inferior word. All right. So our language roll. So our dice pool for doing a flourish was 3 dice, and that's because we had a good rating in our heart attribute, which determines how flourishes actually work. The language roll we have is a poor rating, which means we only get 1 die. And because we've already used our skill, which adds a +1 once per session, we now only get to roll 1 die in this particular case. However, I think your choice of maybe we don't need to apologize, we just apologize for the penmanship might actually work out to our favor in the end. So 1 die, let's roll it. And guys, we got a 1.
However, because penmanship is her big deal, don't we? Isn't this the part where we re-roll the penmanship?
Nope, this was the language roll. This was the language roll. Right. So
I'm jumping ahead.
So what's gone on here, guys, is we've rolled a penmanship, or sorry, we've rolled a flourish, and we've succeeded with that, which means we get to add an adjective or an adverb to either one of these 2 phrases. I'm sorry, or I apologize profusely. I'm sorry is the inferior word, or the inferior phrase, and I apologize profusely is the superior phrase. We just made a language test and failed it. With the language test, we actually have to take the I'm sorry. The interesting thing about this is because we flourished it, this actually has a negative impact on our score for this particular paragraph. So because when you make a language test, if you get the superior, you get 1 point. If you get the inferior, you get 0 for that particular word. However, if you flourished it successfully and you get the superior, you get an additional 2 points. If you get an inferior word and you flourish it, you actually take a -1. So the impact is slightly more significant. We've now sort of hurt ourselves a little bit by flourishing, and that was my suspicion given the way that the odds were kind of working. So we now go with I'm sorry. How do we flourish I'm sorry?
And we know that we're going to lose points for it anyway, so we may as well say something really, just not so great.
Okay.
Like I'm painstakingly, or not painstaking. I'm heartbreakingly sorry.
I'm heartbreakingly sorry. Apparently, guys, I had something on the screen, the chat on the screen that was kind of bleeding over. I apologize about that. I am painstakingly sorry. Is that how you spell stakingly?
There's the ing that needs to go in there still.
Okay. Stakingly.
Sorry.
I am painstakingly sorry about, or how about this? To painstakingly sorry to write to you with such poor penmanship.
Mm-hmm.
How about this? I want to take a moment and say that I am painstakingly sorry to write to you with such poor penmanship.
That's a painful phrase.
It is. It's hard to work with, but I'm liking the sentence. Is that okay with you?
It's okay with me. Yes.
All right. I want to take a moment and say that I'm painstakingly sorry to write to you with such poor penmanship. It was my hope to impress you with
my calligraphy, my newly learned calligraphy.
That's good. Newly learned calligraphy. But it is clear that my instructor or teacher?
Instructor.
My instructor still needs to work more with me. I hope that you will not hold it against me when I visit you on the morrow.
On the morrow. That's good.
At your studio.
Yeah. With the cousin in tow.
With the cousin in tow.
I was actually thinking the cousin maybe should have a name like Leopold or something like that.
With the cousin?
With cousin Leopold in tow.
With cousin Leopold in tow. I love it. Cousin Leopold in tow.
Now I'm wondering, when something is in tow, is it like a tow truck? Or is it like...
I think it's coming along behind is the choice.
I don't know which kind of tow it is. I've never thought about that phrase.
You're missing Salem's body. I'm really sorry about that, Gillis. Everybody misses Salem's body, I'm sure. All right. So the last paragraph reads, I want to take a moment and say that I'm painstakingly sorry to write to you with such poor penmanship. It was my hope to impress you with my newly learned calligraphy, but it is clear that my instructor still needs to work more with me. I hope that you will not hold it against me when I visit you on the morrow with cousin Leopold in tow. Sincerely.
We don't have a name.
Yes, but that's also because we didn't choose the correct sex or gender of our knight.
Well, that doesn't necessarily need to come up.
Okay, so let's choose Sir.
How about knight?
Just knight?
Sincerely, knight.
Sincerely, Sir Knight.
Sir Knight.
Of the realm.
Oh, Sir Knight of the Realm.
Sir Knight of the Realm. Does that work?
That's where the name would come in. So and so, Knight of the Realm.
Yes.
So I think we need to replace the Sir with some kind of a name.
What's the name?
I don't know.
How about
Magnifico?
Sir Magnifico. Knight of the Realm.
And yes, I did imply a gender.
With Magnifico?
With the O, I suppose. I don't know.
Okay. I don't know.
This is English. Maybe it's not an implied gender with an O.
Could be. I don't know.
All right.
So let's go back and read quickly read our letter here, and then we will score it up based on the score.
Oh, we should mark the scoring in that last paragraph. I'm painstakingly sorry is a painful detriment to our score.
So painstakingly. So right, it is a flourish. So we got the flourish. However, the inferior should be what? Just an italicized?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, without the bold.
Without the bold.
Right.
Okay. So let's go from the beginning. Dear Miss Bowbridge, it was my pleasure to see you at the spectacular Great Fountain of Ali last evening. The royal celebration for the king's birthday was an exciting festival. Your gown was finally made and was the talk of the season. It was my honor to speak to the prince at the festival last night. He had wonderful things to say about the recent portrait that was commissioned of him. Actually, so sorry and the prince are the same because that's the inferior.
That's right. We were inferior. And I realized we didn't score the penmanship on the last paragraph.
You are right. So we will do that as soon as I finish.
Okay.
It is my understanding that we were responsible for the work that went into this marvelous endeavor. I would love to find a moment to come and visit your studio and see this lovely portrait. It is my understanding that the artist stands in renown for their well-established, esteemed expertise in portraiture. It is well known that you are a fantastic judge of skill in matching subjects to artist styles. It will be my pleasure to invite the skilled artist's second cousin, twice removed on his mother's side, to accompany me to your studio when I come to view this wonderful portrait. The cousin was saying just the other day they had a keen interest in viewing the familiar inscription to be found on the portrait. The cousin has noted in previous circumstances that forgers have incorrectly copied the artist's penmanship when duplicating the inscription. My. I want to take a moment and say that I am painstakingly sorry to write to you with such poor penmanship. It was my hope to impress you with my newly learned calligraphy, but it was clear that my instructor still needs to work more with me. I hope that you will not hold it against me when I visit you on the morrow at your studio with cousin Leopold in tow. Now, penmanship. We do have a 2 in penmanship. Let's go ahead and roll that. And so we got a 6, but Dr. Rubix.
Which is great. We would get points for penmanship. However, the art dealer, Ms. Bowbridge, requires that we re-roll the highest die and accept the final roll.
And yet again,
is only a 4.
Is only a 4.
So therefore, we don't get any points for penmanship on the final paragraph in which we were painstakingly sorry about our poor penmanship.
Which checks out as accurate.
It does, yes.
All right, guys. So now that we're done with all of that. We're into the situation. I hope you will. I hope you will hold it against me. Definitely, Gillis.
We'll something to mind there.
Yep, absolutely. All right, guys. So let's talk about scoring here. All right. So let's add it up. The first paragraph we get spectacular, which is a flourish, and so that stands out as 2 points. Plus, Great Fountain of Ollie was a superior phrase or word, and so that's 3 points for the first paragraph. In the second paragraph, we got no flourish, so no points there, and we got the inferior word of the prince, so no points for paragraph 2. So right now we stand at 3 points in 2 paragraphs. In the third paragraph, we had well established, which was our flourish, which gives us 2 additional points. So that means we now stand at 5 right now. Or sorry, yes, 5. Mm-hmm. And then we get esteemed expertise, which was the superior word, which means that we actually got 7 or 6 points there.
We're at 6 now.
We're at 6 there. Okay. So 6 points in 3 words, or sorry, in 3 paragraphs. Paragraph 4 was our stellar moment in this entire endeavor. Not only did we get our penmanship roll, which gives us 1 point, which takes us to 7, we then got our flourish, which gives us 2 points, which takes us to 8, with the superior word of inscription.
Takes us to 9.
Which takes us to 9.
Which takes us to 10.
Which takes us to... No, it takes us to 9. So it was 3 in the first paragraph, 3 in the second paragraph.
Third paragraph, 3, yep.
And oh, you're absolutely right.
And then 4 points.
You're right, because of the penmanship.
That's right.
You are correct. I stand corrected, guys. This is why I keep her around.
This is why, not because I keep going to that horrid rule about the calligraphy, but because I can keep track of the points.
Right. All right. So, but that 5th paragraph is where we actually ran into something that was a little frustrating. We'd failed our penmanship test. We did get our flourish, but we got the inferior word of sorry. And so we used the word painstakingly as our flourish. And with that, we actually got an inferior sort of score there, or a flourish with an inferior, which removes 1 point. So we stood at 10 with 4 paragraphs, but in the 5th paragraph, we actually lost a point, which means our ultimate, total and score is 9 points.
9.
Now, on the scenario, at the end, there is a set of consequences. Dr. Rubix, what happens when you get 9 points?
It's actually not too bad.
Really?
I think we did better than we felt like we were doing all along. If you score between 8 and 10 points, Christina, the art dealer, is pleased with your letter and responds enthusiastically. She clearly has taken little offense and will sell you the painting.
This is fantastic news.
It's fantastic. It's what we were writing her for.
Absolutely.
And hopefully it's not a fake. We don't actually know that yet.
Clearly, we are doing our job. We handled ourselves with great etiquette. Mm-hmm. Even though we are absolutely terrible at penmanship, she found it. She found our choice in dialogue and in this letter writing really, really exciting. I think we did a good job.
I think we did. I think the visit tomorrow on the morrow with cousin Leopold in tow, the cousin twice removed on his mother's side. I think we'll have a real opportunity to connect a little bit more with Ms. Bowbridge and into the art community. So I realized in the consequences that we could have done a little bit better if
Mm-hmm.
we had done better penmanship throughout. Then she would have even been overwhelmed and wanted to give it to us as a gift. So you know,
I think we have goals for next
I
time.
think we're having to pay for it, but we're a knight, and you know, paying for the things that we acquire is it's the right way, right? So we're okay with
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. All right, guys, checking in with chat real quick, and then we're gonna close this off and say goodnight. So gonna hold something against both Gillis and me. All right, fair
Yeah,
enough.
you hadn't seen that.
Fair enough. Auto encoding in the URL. I'm not just the way play with it. What are you talking about specifically with the URL, sir? Are you talking about with Twitch? Um, and hey, Patrick, nice to show up right at the end of the stream, buddy.
Hey, Patrick.
Um, all right, guys. So this has been a game called Quill. Or sorry, Quill. It's not Quills, it's Quill, and you can get it on DriveThruRPG. Let me go ahead and grab the link for you guys. It's really an interesting game. I saw somebody else actually stream it, and the choices for letter writing are pretty interesting because give me just a second as I find the correct link for it. Because it starts out as just a straight up, letter writing game and a little bit of scoring, but there are scenarios for the entire thing that allow you to, write letters in sort of themes. You can do it. You can do it in a Cthulian kind of a way. You can write love letters. There's a scenario specifically for love letters. There's a couple of ones that are set specifically around a setting. One is at a dwarven kingdom. Another one is actually just a straight up fantasy setting. And then there's the last one that I discovered was actually one that's in a noir setting of some sort. So you guys can go to DriveThruRPG, and that's the link for it in chat. I don't know. I had a really good time doing this. I didn't expect to have as much fun as I was going to have doing this, and doing it with you was really more exciting than I expected because we were we were hitting the same page in respect to the same idea, but we came with some different sort of different approaches to it. I love the cousin. The cousin was the best part for me.
The cousin.
Really, I mean, adding in the cousin, it was an ingenious way to kind of verify whether it was a forgery or not.
And without coming across directly as scrutinizing her her validity
Right,
of
totally.
what she's selling. Yeah, for sure. And well, we had to be of one mind because this was a single player game, and so I think playing with us as two people was kind of an advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. It ended up being probably one of my favorite experiences playing a tabletop game of some kind. The whole just the idea of just writing something as to kind of what was essentially world building. We did a lot of world building with it. I really like that.
We did actually, yeah, yeah. The whole festival that had taken place the night before, and yeah.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So we're going to close up the stream right now. We're both hungry. This was supposed to happen a couple of hours ago, and we just kept getting later and later out into the world. This has been day 10 of 28 days of streaming in February for me. Dr. Rubix, thank you for coming on. Having you on channel for the first time. I'm sorry that we didn't get to play the game that we were choosing to play today, which it was a bandwidth issue, but we'll get to it next weekend.
It'll still happen, and thank you very much for having me on my first stream. It was very exciting, my first game, and so great. Here I am. I'll be back.
Absolutely. She'll be back next week, actually 2 times next weekend. So a couple things going on the channel. Starting tomorrow, I will be starting a new game. I won't be playing Red Dead Online. I'll be playing... I will be doing a playthrough of Horizon Zero Dawn. And prior to that, I will be doing office hours for Unsung. Unsung is the Emberwind game that I'm running over on Unmade Gaming's channel. And so office hours is basically just sort of a recap and talking a little bit about the game and the scenarios. And tomorrow I'm going to be talking a lot about world building and conversations that actually happened with 2 of the players. And then after that, of course, I'll be starting Horizon Zero Dawn, and I'll be playing that for a couple of hours. And that'll be at 4 p.m. tomorrow. I need to actually do the update and get all of the stuff into events for this next week because every day this week there's going to be either tabletop stuff or some Horizon Zero Dawn. There's going to be more tabletop stuff this week. I can actually speak at 11:30 at night. Then towards Saturday, there will be two things going on tabletop wise. We'll be doing Dragon Heist again on Harley's Armory's channel, and that's just their our run through of Dragon Heist Waterdeep, the D&D scenario. And then that afternoon at 4 p.m. on this channel, we'll be doing a charity stream from 4 to 7, and we will be playing a game or a scenario called Honey Heist. And DrRubyX will be back with us, along with a couple of the other people in chat, hopefully. And we'll be raising money for Extra Life charity. And if I had my bot all set up and ready to go, which I don't because we're not streaming from my home setup, I would actually link it all in chat. But I'll be tweeting about it. I'll be pushing it out on Facebook and every place else, guys. So please go ahead and check it out. And then on Sunday, DrRubyX and I will hopefully be premiering our new show, which we've been talking about for a long time. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's an old school game. I don't have much personal experience with it. Apparently, she had a lot of personal experience with it. So I'm looking forward to exploring this with her. So that'll be next Sunday at 3 p.m. And so with that, guys, we're just going to close it up and say goodbye. And thanks, Salem and Gillis and Sukhan for joining us and hanging out in chats. Thanks, Ishman, for stopping by too. And with that, guys, we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.